Hey everyone, it's Tuesday, and today we are back at it painting another painting of Katie, and today we're painting under a really strong blue light again. So let's do this, let's paint. Alright, so we are back at it today, and today is painting number 17 of the Summer Paintings project. We're on week 4, and today I'm painting another painting of Katie under really similar light as to yesterday. I'm using a really strong blue colored light as the main light hitting Katie in this painting. And the lighting angle is kind of a traditional straight on, just a little bit to the side lighting angle, and it's a higher light source, so it's creating just a little bit of that hook shadow on the top of the eye socket on the opposite side of the face, the crescent side, you could say the shadow side of the face. It gets that crescent shadow on the right side of the face in the painting, but Katie's left side of her face. So I really like using this angle for portrait lighting in general. One, because it's a little bit easier. It really helps describe the form of the face and breaks up the face into a few big shapes that I think are easier to transcribe as drawing. And also it's just a lighting scheme that's been used in painting for a really long time. If you visit any portrait gallery or any section of a museum of portrait painting, I would say like at least 70% of portraits throughout Western painting history have pretty much used this lighting. If they're paintings that were made from life and paintings that were painted under natural light, this is a pretty common lighting circumstance. One, because you can achieve similar colors on the canvas to the colors that you perceive of what you're looking at on the sitter. So for one, it's a practical lighting situation, but I also just think it's flattering. There's a few other lighting designs that are really flattering, but I think this one is especially flattering. It kind of simplifies the form of the face, so you're not looking at so much complication with like multiple light sources or anything, but it also softens all the features and the forms quite a lot. So it's doing two things. It's softening, but also simplifying. And I think as a viewer, as an artist, just looking at this kind of a lighting schema, it just looks a little bit more pleasant, in my opinion. And I think that's why it's used so frequently. There's also this hook shadow that happens that in this painting is not as strong, but in paintings that really use that kind of strong, higher light source coming down on the face from like a slight angle, it creates this nice Z-shaped shadow that goes on the top of the eye socket, down the side of the nose, and then underneath the nose. And a lot of portrait painters will say that if you can nail that shape, that Z shape that happens over the eye, down the side of the nose, and under the nose, it will help bring the likeness out of the portrait very quickly. So that's kind of present in the lighting schema of this portrait of Katie right now, but it's a little bit more straight on and a little bit higher up than the traditional hook shadow. And I like that in this. It's flattening the form even a little bit more and simplifying the shadows to just little slivers here and there on the face. So I've really been enjoying mixing the colors under this light. And it has me thinking of a lot of different painters that do similar things to this. One of them is actually another Baltimore, D.C. area painter, Karen Polstadter. I've actually never met Karen, but we were both in the same issue of New American Paintings a couple years back, and I saw her work in that issue and was immediately really attracted to it because of just the strong color-centric approach to her paintings. So for the last few years, most of the work that I've seen Karen do has been these really strong cobalt blue paintings. Either they're portraits or they're paintings of plants. And they do something really captivating with space. There's usually kind of two images happening simultaneously on the plane of the canvas, but there's this kind of break that happens where it almost looks like a photo montage, where one of the images feels like it's either floating in front of, or it's a zoomed in area of an enlargement of a larger photo, and then they're superimposed simultaneously on an image. And it makes for this really interesting image that you see. There, it feels like there's some kind of combination of literal space and image space coexisting in the image. So you have this kind of, you could say, real space, and if we want to call photographic space, fake space, coexisting in the image and competing for your attention simultaneously. But then the color space itself is simplified into this like really strong blue cast from that cobalt blue color palette. So if you haven't checked out Karen's work, her work is really fantastic and really interesting. And she is a really solid painter, has some serious painting chops. So definitely check her work out. Another painter who deals with portraits a lot that was coming to mind in today's painting was Kay Donachie, the UK painter. Her work has this really strong ambience and kind of poetic sense of space, this color space that really pushes forward the narratives of the female protagonist and her compositions. In her work, the brushwork is just so bold and so raw and just really generous to the viewer. As you look at the paintings, you feel like you're actually participating in the making of it. It just leaves so much of the process available to you as the viewer. And I think that's something that is awesome when a painter can achieve that level of openness to a painting where they reveal the process. And it feels like, as a viewer, just looking at the painting, you can almost paint along with the painting. Such a satisfying kind of composition. And my painting today, I definitely overpainted it way more than Kay would probably paint a portrait. She would definitely leave her surface a lot more open. And I think I kind of cranked mine down a little bit. And probably because I'm painting from a photograph today and I'm just really sort of going in for a lot more details than maybe I normally would. But I kind of just said, whatever, I'm going to let myself do that today. I want to see what happens. And so I did. But her work was still hovering in my mind as I was painting this, the kind of color space, this kind of close cropping in on the head, and allowing the strength of the narrative to come completely from the gaze of the sitter or the gaze of the model in the portrait. So if you've never checked out Kay Donachie's paintings before, definitely check her out as well. Beautiful compositions, beautiful color space in her work. There was a few moments in the color of today's painting that were really challenging. Because I'm not just putting like a blue filter over the painting in Photoshop or something, I'm actually working with colored light. There's still a sense of warmth that comes through in certain areas on the face, like around the eyes, around the nose, and around the lips. You still get this kind of warmth that would normally come through in a portrait there. But in this case, that warmth has shifted into this kind of really intense purpley violet space. And I actually found it really challenging to get that color to register the way I wanted it to. I wanted it to feel like that kind of warmth that you get with lips or that you get around eye sockets and the nose in a normal portrait. But under blue light, it shifts that warmth in such a weird way. And I really had to mix this color so many times before I actually felt okay with it, that I felt like it was doing what I wanted it to. So that was a great challenge today. And I learned a lot from that. How does blue affect something that's almost like an orangey red local color? Maybe a really desaturated version of that color, but how does blue light affect that? And what kind of pigments do I need to go for to actually make that happen? So I was trying out a few different quinacridone reds, dioxazine purple, and pulling that together with phthalo blue and with ultramarine. And I kept having to try different things until I finally found the right hue and the right level of saturation, something that didn't feel like it was pushed way too hard and that would look almost over the top red, but something that still felt blue, like it had a blue cast, but it had that warmth coming through to the surface so that it felt like blue light just hitting a warmer area of flesh. And I love the openness of the look that Katie is giving me in this portrait. it can go a few different ways. And you can almost say that the mood you're in as you look at the portrait will change the narrative that you put on Katie. Is it a look of comfort and a look of ease? Like, how is she feeling? Is she annoyed? Is she tired? Is she just really content? Later at night? What kind of look is it? And actually, I don't even know. I don't know. I can't read Katie's mind. I don't know what she was thinking. She might have been just like, come on, Caleb, hurry up. She also just might have been really relaxed and comfortable. So I love that. I really love that openness of the gaze in this painting. And to me, it has that kind of quality of a painting from life that has that open gaze. A gaze that can be taken in different directions depending on how the viewer is feeling and what the viewer is bringing to the painting. So that's today's painting. It was pretty straightforward for me. I felt like I was using a lot of sighting techniques that feel really related to like a sight size painting method, or even like drawing from a cast to the exact same scale. I felt like I was really honing in on the sculptural quality of the lighting and thinking of the face a lot in those terms. And I probably could have left the painting earlier, but it was really satisfying to just kind of keep painting and taking the surface further and further and seeing what would happen, getting into those surface effects. Again, I painted the freckles today and really kind of just giving myself the permission to take the painting pretty far. So I will see you guys back here tomorrow and we'll make another painting of Katie and try out another lighting condition. So take it easy, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.